And it just seems, again, those people who speak forward with good reason, a lot of the people at the top just want to weed them out as soon as possible.
I think the thing that people might not realise is that there was actually a GMC circular sent out not long before we whistle blew, and the circular said that if you feel that someone's life is at risk, it is your duty of care to raise this and to whistle blow. And also, I think there's a duty of candour, a specific duty of candour in Wales that you have to raise it to a level in which it makes it safe. So we were under a professional obligation. So when I whistle blew, if I'm being absolutely honest with you, I didn't realise the whole can of worms I was opening for myself. I had no idea. Mm-hmm. I thought, yeah, this may upset people. I may not get the promotion that I'm looking for, but I had no idea that I would lose my career.
Yeah, you weren't expected to lose your career and be put in workplace solitary confinement, any of these things. No. And that's a common theme that goes with anybody that is seemingly... A lot of people, I think, for people that I see talking about it, they've almost turned the NHS into this kind of religion almost. You say anything bad about the NHS, no matter how small it is, it's like, you're something akin to blasphemy with a lot of people. And obviously we're very lucky to have, in many ways, the NHS. It was very lucky for me, for example. I think it's important to speak out about those things, because if there's a way that it could be done better, or if there are bad things within it, it's in everybody's interest that they're weeded out, right? It's in everybody's interests that, a corrupt official at the top that's on the take and is abusing his staff, abusing his power in whatever ways, it is taken into account, and that the workplace environment is made the best that it could be, because ultimately that's how you're going to give the best care to your patients, I would imagine. Yeah. I would imagine it's not the, high-stressed, investigated, witch-hunted child therapist or whatever it is, a child psychiatrist, that's going to give the best care to the patient. Would I be right in saying that?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, what more can you say?
Yeah. It just seems like, have a think about it, ladies and gentlemen. Would you rather a surgeon, for example, if you're being operated on, would you rather a surgeon that is trembling, because they're worried about what's going to happen with the impending investigation that is a witch hunt? Or would you rather somebody that's in an environment where they know everybody has their back, especially people above you who have more power over your career, for example, and your livelihood, that you're relying on them to keep you in a job in a way so you can keep food on the table and all of these things, that you want them to have your back, and so that you have that steady scalpel. That's the kind of stuff that that's the kind of metaphor for the stuff that we're dealing with here. So what was this playing on your mind a lot when we talk about like the mental and the emotional aspect of what was going on, particularly with regards to the workplace solitary confinement? You mentioned it was good that you had your colleagues and friends that came by to see you when they could, and luckily they were in court. When you had these instances, though, where you turn it day up to day, or day after day rather, and you mentioned this was having such an effect on you, all of this stuff with the investigation and all of this stuff was having such an effect on you that you were having to pull over into lay-bys to be sick on your way to work and stuff like that. What was the mental and the emotional aspect like going through, all of this? And I think we've touched on it already. Ultimately, then, how did you get yourself through it?
Well, the emotional, the effect it had on me, it was, if I say it's interesting, but after I got out of solitary and I was then allowed to be part of a team again, I couldn't follow complex conversation. It was, everything just sounded too loud. It was too quick. It was almost as if you'd had some sort of brain damage because you'd been quiet and in your own world for 5 months. So, all the hustle and bustle of a meeting would be just too much for me. But then I went back to my regular job, the job that in the team that I was with before. And I just kind of carried on as if it was normal, doing my best. And I didn't realize, I think that they were at that point starting to overwhelm me deliberately and mess me around. So then you kind of, after a while, you start thinking, well, are they doing this on purpose to get another investigation? You're always kind of thinking, well, is there going to be another hooky investigation coming? And I think, as it turned out, that there was. But they were they were involving patients. Patients were getting caught up in this. High risk patients were being cancelled, and low risk patients were being put into my diary. I wasn't being given enough time to see patients. They were trying to precipitate complaints. So you were just firefighting. And I think after a period of a couple of years of this, I started to really struggle with. I was later diagnosed with severe post-traumatic stress, but I would go home and I would overrun everything that happened, and so why did this happen? Why did that happen? And I couldn't get myself back into the here and now. That was a big problem, and then I started vomiting on my way into work. I would be retching between patients, and I kind of recognised that to get myself better from this trauma, I actually needed to walk away from medicine.
To put a lot of stress on your family and home life and stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
Remember you saying you were quite lucky to have a good support network around you at home. Am I right saying that? So very, very lucky. It's a blessing if you have a good support system, ladies and gentlemen. It's very much a blessing if you have a good support system, especially when you know that this could, at the end of the day, could be your wife, your girlfriend, your husband, whatever, right? It could be your brother, sister, child, whatever it might be that's going through this. Because this is not unique. This is not unique by any means, just to one field. So then you mentioned there, I believe this happened over a period from November was when this all kicked off, and then finished up roundabouts in the July. Then, am I correct in saying that was like the overall timeline of it?
The investigation and me being kept away from my regular work, I think it went from March, and I don't know, sometime in March to July, and then I was transferred back to my original unit. Then there was a period of 6 months, and then they crept off another investigation, same stuff again.
And all of this stuff eventually totaled about 3 to 6 years. So eventually, after about 3 to 6 years, that was when the charges were ultimately finally dropped. And I mentioned here, it says here something about the medical reviews used to trigger complaints. Am I saying like the complaint system within the NHS? I'm not sure how it is in child psych specifically, but I talked with an ex-nurse, and she mentioned about how the system will almost weaponize complaints. So they'll bring up old complaints from like years or months ago with something completely irrelevant. If you then decide to blow the whistle, or if you end up in a manager's bad graces, whatever it might be, in order to then discredit you when it comes to whether it's investigations or whether it's, I believe she had an NMC referral, that I believe they tried to deny it wasn't the NMC that referred her, but then turns out that it was when she had the papers back. What is it with the complaint system? And you mentioned there where it's like they're giving you these low, like non-low level cases, but like, not the most intense cases to sort of build up these complaints. Is this like a system that is often used to if people fall out of graces with the system, to then be used against them unfairly?
Yeah. It definitely is. I think they went back quite a few years looking for complaints with me, and some of the complaints were actually created. I was asked to see a family, and I was told you'll definitely get a complaint with this family, but we know that this is going to be a complaint case. Please, can you see it? And we will recognise. But when it came to that case was included.
There we are. So again, have to be careful who you trust as well, evidently, because you were obviously assured that we know this is going to be a complaint case. Yeah. And then it was used against you then. Yeah. So, and again, just goes to show you how, again, turncoaty and often how spiteful the culture can be, is that a short period of time before, I believe it was to do with your like ill health retirement plans, they tried to deliberately mess with those right before you were due to finish. It was like they almost tried to give you, one last FU before you went out the door. What happened there, if you don't mind me asking, when you were eventually about to finish up and they just wanted to stick the knife in a little bit deeper?
My last investigation, it was about 3 years that I was kept hanging for the last investigation, and I was basically cleared. And then during that investigation, they told me, what was going to happen in the future. But by that time, I'd made the decision that I was going to leave. And I think my union rep, the British Medical Association rep, told them that I had no intention of going back at that meeting. And we tried to get ill health retirement, and they would not fill in the forms. They just, the things wouldn't be completed as it should. It was a real mess. I got a letter come round about the July time to say that, yes, I qualified for ill health retirement. And about a week or so before that came through, they terminated my contract because it was clear that I was not fit to work. So, yeah, it was one last hurrah.
Yeah, and I was just like to mess with you a little bit more as you're already on your way out of the door. And again, you got to think there's no reason for that really, unless they're just trying to. Again, it's like they know they've lost in a way. They know they've lost because again, all of these charges were dropped. The investigations didn't come to anything. Obviously, you're here speaking now, and the good thing is about speaking now, or what people are doing now, is it seems that this now is getting a lot more attention in the public sphere, and people are coming forward. They're actually having the courage to come forward and talk about these things, and they know that they're on the back foot in many ways. But just with regards to this, how spiteful they want to be, they just want to again give you that one last F you as you're on your way out the door, and there's no reason to do that other than really just to be spiteful, really.